Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're tuning in. Welcome to an at-home segment of Through Blue Lenses. I'm your host, Alicia, aka Blue, and today we're talking about a great topic that I've wanted to bring up for a while, and it would be advice from a model to photographers. Now, am I telling photographers how to do their job? No, not in terms of shooting and editing and whatever else that they have in their process. I am talking about how to interact with models and people in general, because I have been a freelance model for 6 years. And through just growing up and getting ready to go into the professional world and everything, I have learned a lot about how to speak with people and what you should expect when someone is speaking to you in terms of a professional standpoint. There are 3 types of photographers. One that is very professional, knows how to handle themselves in a professional manner. They make sure that their model is comfortable, they communicate, they do good work, they get their pictures back to them in a timely manner, no problem. Or there's a photographer, same things, they're good at what they do, they're good at getting the pictures to you, but they're not exactly very good at communication or even just being aware of what it is that they're saying or doing that can cause things to be awkward and put a strain on your relationship with somebody. And then there's those people that do not care at all, and they use the photographer title as a way to take advantage of people, and a lot of times that unfortunately is young girls. How do I know that? Because it's not a secret, so stop doing it. So the first thing I want to draw attention to is people that put their profile on private as a photographer. I myself as a model, and I know a couple other models, if we see this, we won't work with you. Let me explain why. Because if you go online and you look for any brand, whether it's Coca-Cola, Dunkin', Forever 21, or a small brand that someone has started themselves and they make stuff to sell, are they set on private? No, because they want people to see what it is that they have to offer, to see what it is that they're doing, that they're selling, and a lot of times they want that to happen organically too, which means if they're going through their Explore page or whatever, their feed, they're going to see it pop up, and then they're going to be enticed and they're going to go look at more of it, they're going to give you a follow. That's how that works. But there are those people out there that feel like keeping their stuff set to private is going to help them get followers. Now, if I were to go online, or literally anybody, this is how it works. If you go online and you look for a brand, and let's say Dunkin' says, oh, you have to follow us to see our content. How many people would have the type of, excuse me? Who do you think you are? You want me to follow you? Why do I need to follow you? What do you have that's good for me? That's just a natural type of reaction that people are going to have. People are not going to assume that you are so great that they have to follow you. I, as a model, if you contact me, and people have done this, if you contact me and you want me to work with you and everything's set on private, then I'm like, okay, well, either you're desperate for people to like what you do and follow you, you're desperate for follows, or you're not good at what you do and you just think that if people have to follow you, then it'll keep your follows going up, and the fact that you're not good at it can be overshadowed. Basically, either way, you just look desperate for follows, and it's just not good. It's not good. Also, if my pictures are going to be on your page and people are expected to follow your page just to see me, and that can help my exposure, if my exposure gets hindered because you're desperate for a follow, it's not good. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to participate. And the reasons people have given me for keeping it private is for a follow, or because they have had requests from models to keep their pictures private, which obviously isn't private if you're going to accept anybody that requests to follow you. It's the photographer and the model, and whoever the model wants to show, because they requested it be private, not you put it on a fake private page just so that you can get more likes. No. Second, very important, is communication. Now, this pertains to everything before, during, and after the shoot. You have to be professional. You have to communicate and be clear about everything. But first, you have to get somebody interested in working with you. And I've had quite a few people send me messages like, hey, want to shoot? And that's it. That is it. Just, hey, want to shoot? I've had people send me that and spell that wrong. Improper grammar, improper spelling, no introduction, no professionalism whatsoever. That is an automatic red flag. No thank you. Because I am not a mannequin. Some people confuse models with mannequins, but we are not mannequins. We are people. And if you want me to work with you, go out of my way to work with you, then you need to show me that you can be professional. So, if you are wondering, how would I be professional about that? Whether you are a model or photographer, you have to follow the same type of template, such as, and it doesn't matter if it's DMs or emails, you treat a DM just as professional as an email to your boss, okay? You would have to say something along the lines of this. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I've seen your work. I like what you do. Or, I like your style. I would love to work with you. I would like to do this type of shoot, blah, blah, blah. Whatever else you want to throw in there, and then say, if you are interested, I would love to hear from you. Please let me know. That way we can schedule a shoot for sometime in the future. That way, you have introduced yourself. You have given them insight into what it is that you want from them. You've been nice, you've been polite, you've been professional, and then you've given them a call to action, which is, hey, if you would like to do any of this, please reach out to me, please let me know, blah, 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 Like, that is a good way to handle that, because then you're putting in the work without being someone who acts like they're talking to their bro. I'm not your bro. Don't talk to me like it. Also, when starting out with the how are you going to communicate, how are you going to set the shoot up and everything like that, make sure that you are clear on what type of photo shoot it is, whether it's like a fashion shoot or you're going to want to go to the beach because, depending on where you live, going to the beach for a photo shoot can be a lot of work. Or if you want it to be a boudoir shoot, something like that, be clear about what it is that you want out of the photo shoot, because you don't want to end up in a situation, which has happened before, where you show up for a shoot as a model and they're like, oh, it's a fashion shoot. This is what I'm wearing. This is what we're doing. And then the photographer has decided to do things like say, oh, can you show me your underwear? Can you take your bra off? Can you do this? Can you do that? Then you're turning it into a boudoir shoot, which was not discussed. You have to be clear on what it is that you want. If you want a boudoir shoot, then the model's got to decide, are they okay with that? And then you move forward from there. Simple as that. Also, you have to decide what type of shoot in terms of payment it is. Now, as a freelance model, as a freelance photographer, whatever it is you do, it can get tricky because you're not sure who's going to pay who. Now, I would assume whoever reaches out would be the one to pay the other person because you asked the other person to work with you, so you would be paying them for their time. Or there are other times where you can do a trade for print, which means the model gets ready, they get their outfit together, they, take care of their transportation, or they help pick out the shoot location, the shoot style, stuff like that. They're putting in all of that work to co-model for you, and you as a photographer are putting in the work to, learn how to use your camera equipment, pack all of it up, help with deciding on what the shoot should look like, where it's going to be, blah, blah, blah. You take the pictures, then you edit them. So you're both putting in a lot of work to create something wonderful. So that would be a trade for print, and a lot of photographers, a lot of models might be okay with it just because they're trying to get experience, practice doing whatever it is they're doing, and they get more stuff to put on their portfolio to show people like, hey, I have done this, and you can go from there. But that's all up to you, and that's something that should be established before the photo shoot even takes place. Now, something that I personally like, I don't know if any other models like this, I haven't really heard of it, is when photographers have pictures of themselves that I can see, whether it's on their photography page or their personal page that I am able to see, or if they at least have a very good, clear picture of themselves on their photography profile picture, because I like to know who I'm working with. Because if you think about it, the photographer knows exactly what I look like. They have seen multiple pictures of me online because that is my portfolio. I have not seen any pictures of the photographer. I like to know who it is I'm looking for. I mean, when you online date, do you know who you're looking for? Yeah, hopefully, I don't know, hopefully they look like their profile picture, but you at least know who you're looking for. You're not just showing up to some place like, hey, I don't know what you look like or where you are or any of that. Like, I want to know who I'm working with. It just makes me feel a little more comfortable. Now, when it comes to the time of the photo shoot, you have to be careful of everything you say and everything you do, because you don't want to put your model in a very uncomfortable situation that's going to just make them feel awkward and vulnerable, and like they might not make it out of there alive. Been there, done that, didn't appreciate it. Don't do that. And if you are unsure of what it is that you're saying, if it's okay, in the words of someone very wise, David Hayter, somebody who is a very professional photographer, he said, do not say anything to somebody that you wouldn't want sent to you in jail. And those are very wise words. Can you imagine? You know, I've had plenty of people say some weird things to me. Like, I don't want you saying that to me, and I'm sure you don't want that said to you if you're in jail. So, cool your jets, man. Think about what you say before it comes out of your mouth. So, I've had plenty of photographers take pictures and say things while looking at them. Oh yeah, that's good. That's hot. That's sexy. I like it. Or like they'll actually grunt. They'll be like, yeah. Like, I can't even get that deep, but it's disgusting. Don't do that, because then you've taken me from being a model, trying to obviously make the picture look good. Yes, we are aware of that. We're trying to make the picture look good, look hot, look sexy, look whatever, because that's the whole point of the job. But you've taken it from that to now it feels like, you know, you're looking at me as an object, like as a sexual object that may be touched, whatever, you know, like there's a whole list of things that could go through somebody's head, have gone through my head, and I don't like it. Do not make comments like that. Do not make your model look like a sexual object and you are now a sexual predator. That may not be your intention, but based on what you say, that may be a thought that goes through their head and they don't like it. It's not good. Don't make your person uncomfortable, okay? Also, I can't believe I even have to say this, but don't touch your model. Don't. You don't touch people, like, ever. That's just not okay. So I myself have been in a situation where some photographer was not very good at being precise with what it was he was saying when it came to trying to get me to pose a certain way. Now that is something that you need to work on. You need to be very precise. You need to say, tilt your head, your shoulders, your, knee, your leg, left, right, up, down. You have to be precise with what it is you're saying so that I can understand what you're saying. Don't just randomly point in places and expect me to understand it, because I'm just as human as you are. I can't read your freaking mind, can I? No. But, this guy was doing exactly what I just said, just pointing in random directions. I didn't understand it. And while I asked him for clarification, rather than working with me on it, he decided to get frustrated, trudge over, and just start touching me. Not sexually, but like touching me and shoving my shoulders a certain way and doing this and doing that, like grabbing my hand. And I'm like, dude, like, you don't have to be so aggressive, because what the hell? Don't do that. Just don't do it, Like, that's, no. The only time it is ever acceptable to touch a model is if you ask them first. I worked with somebody very professional. I was doing something and we were modeling in the woods. I was like laying on the ground, so obviously I'm going to get like leaves and sticks and whatever else stuck to me. And I was in a certain position that I didn't want to mess up. And he said, hold on a second, before I take this picture, you have a twig stuck on your skirt. Do you mind if I move it? And I said, yeah, sure, okay, no problem. Because he asked me first. He didn't just come over and start grabbing me. That's weird, okay? No. Also, in terms of, trying to keep your cool when it comes to doing a photography session, you need to appreciate what it is that models do for you. Now, a lot of people do appreciate it, but think about it. This model has spent a couple hours before the photo shoot getting ready, doing all this stuff to put things together. They've bought their own wardrobe, most likely. They're doing a lot to get a good photo shoot, just as much as you are. And sometimes people don't take that into account. They don't appreciate it, and they think, well, the model is just showing up to be my mannequin and do what I want. That's not how that works. You're in it together. And I have done some dangerous things to get good pictures. You know, I've stood over backwards, like leaned backwards over a ladder on a hill. It was scary, but I wanted to do it because it would make a good picture, and it was an idea that they had had. I have sat up on ledges that were, 15 feet in the air, and if I fell backwards, I would have been severely hurt. I've done a lot of things that could put me in a dangerous situation. I also, side note, really don't like spiders. They terrify me. But I was doing a photo shoot in the woods, and there was a giant spider, like this big, like, what is that? I don't even know how big that is. Like, what's the circumference? I don't know. Anyway, it was in my face. I didn't like it. So, as much as I want to scream and run and cry about it, I can't because I'm working. I am in a professional mindset, and I realize I just gotta get past it. But for the love of God, like, give me a couple seconds to calm down. And I was trying to work with this photographer. I was like, okay, just like, hang on a second. Let me do this. Let me do that. Because, like, I don't want the spider, like, in my face. Do you mind if I do this or that? And they got super frustrated, angry. Same photographer that just started touching me. So, like, not a good photographer. But just be aware of the fact that your model is doing a lot of work for you to make sure that this whole photo shoot goes well. It's not just, stand over here and do this, because it doesn't work that way. If I'm going to put myself in harm's way, if I'm going to put myself in front of something that I'm deathly afraid of, even though it may be irrational, I'm trying my very best to be professional. I'm not screaming and crying and whining about it. I'm doing everything I can to keep my cool and make it good. So just be aware of the fact that they're doing a lot of work for you. Lastly, get your pictures to your models in a reasonable amount of time. I understand that, it can be stressful, it can be busy when it comes to real life. I understand that. But there's some times where I have waited months, like several months, to get pictures. And it's not like I had a wedding and they took like 10,000 pictures. This was just like a quick 1-hour photo shoot, which we're going to get like 20 pictures out of. And it took months to get them back. And these people, I don't know if they were really that busy with like other clients and their photo shoots, but it was a long time before I ever got any. And sometimes there are pictures where I don't get pictures back. There have been some photo shoots where I don't get pictures back at all. And that was disappointing, but it was also with a very weird, bad photographer that, that's okay, because the 2 that I got back weren't that good anyway. But just try to make sure that, they did put in a lot of effort to get dressed and do their hair and makeup and show up and do the best that they could. And they want to see what their work turned out to be. They want to see it. So please get them back to them at a reasonable time. So that pretty much covers all the things I want to talk about in terms of what I as a model have faced or have heard other people have faced. And I just wish more photographers were aware of it. Not every photographer needs to work on these things. I've met quite a few photographers that are extremely professional and they do everything right. There's nothing wrong. Their communication's fine. Their work ethic's fine. Their attitude during the whole thing, it's great. But some people, unfortunately, are not aware of how they make models feel, especially when they're doing things like boudoir, which is lingerie, or like nude photo shoot. Like, your model is in a very vulnerable situation. You have to be aware of that. You have to work with them on that. And just realize that you're both in it together. So, don't put your stuff on private. Don't be rude. Don't be unprofessional. Talk to them. Communication is one of the biggest things. And also, if you feel like you do not need to change the way that you behave as a photographer, you also need to realize that there are a lot of models out there that share stories, that will talk about it. And if you don't want that out there, you need to be aware of how you act. It's very important. But to all of those of you out there that want to be a photographer or a model, if you have questions, concerns, you want to share some stories, I would love to hear them. It'd be great. If at any point you feel like you need to work on something, just work on it. Communicate with whoever it is you're working with and make sure that you can grow as a person and get better in your field. But all in all, I do want to thank those out there that are very professional, that have been very good to me in this type of industry, and I appreciate all of your hard work and everything that you've done. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Thank you.